You work Monday through Friday. You wake up early. You commute. You sit at a desk or stand on your feet or drive a route or serve a table. You give 5 days of your week to someone else's vision, someone else's company, someone else's bottom line. And then Friday hits and something releases. Something in your body and your brain says, finally. And you spend. You go out. You order the thing you want. You buy the thing you have been thinking about all week. You book the trip, the dinner, the experience. You treat yourself because you earned it, because you deserve it, because after 5 days of discipline and obligation, the weekend is yours. And then it is Monday again, and the money is gone. This is not a personal failure. This is not a discipline problem. This is a pattern so deeply embedded in modern life that most people never stop to question whether it was designed this way. Whether the cycle of work, reward, spend, reset was constructed, not by accident, but by intention. Because here is the truth that changes everything once you see it. The weekend was not designed for your rest. It was designed for your consumption. Let's go back to where this started. Before industrialization, there was no weekend. There was no concept of 2 days off at the end of 5 days of work. Time was not divided that way. Farmers worked according to seasons and daylight. Craftspeople worked in their homes and workshops on their own schedules. The rigid 5-day work week and the 2-day weekend did not exist because wage labor, as we know it, did not exist. Everything changed with the Industrial Revolution. Factories needed workers on schedules. Owners needed consistent labor at predictable hours. And so the concept of clocking in and clocking out was born. Time became a commodity that workers sold and employers bought. By the late 1800s, workers in factories were working 6 and sometimes 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day. The labor movement fought for the 8-hour day. It fought for Sundays off. It fought for what eventually became the 2-day weekend. Henry Ford is often credited with popularizing the 5-day, 40-hour work week in 1926. His factories were among the first to adopt it widely. But his reasoning was not humanitarian. Ford realized something that most business owners had not yet understood. Workers who had time off spent money. Workers who had 2 days of leisure every week needed things to fill that leisure. Entertainment, food, transportation, consumer goods. Ford understood that for his business model to work, for the cars he was making to have buyers, his workers needed wages and they needed time in which to spend those wages. The weekend was not given to workers out of generosity. It was given to workers because a resting, spending workforce was more economically useful than an exhausted one. This is the moment the trap was set. The weekend became the designated consumption window, and the entire consumer economy organized itself around it. Think about when things are designed to happen. Movies open on Friday. Sales launch on Friday. Happy hour is on Friday. Restaurants are packed on Friday and Saturday. Clubs, bars, concerts, sporting events, all designed around the same 2-day window. The mall, the restaurant row, the entertainment district, all of it built on the assumption that you have been holding back all week and now you are ready to release. That you have 5 days of deprivation and desire stored up and 2 days in which to spend it. The marketing industry knows this. Every advertising campaign understands that the weekend is when your resistance is lowest and your willingness to spend is highest. You are tired from the week. You are emotionally depleted. You want to feel good. And spending feels good. For a moment. For a few hours. Until Sunday night when you look at your account and feel the low-grade anxiety creeping back in. And then Monday comes and you need the job again. This is not a coincidence. This is a system. The cycle works like this. You work, which depletes you. Depletion creates desire. Desire meets the weekend. The weekend provides the outlet, the stores, the restaurants, the experiences, all conveniently available. You spend, which temporarily relieves the depletion. You feel better. Monday resets the depletion, and the cycle begins again. You are not resting on the weekend. You are recovering just enough to go back. And you are spending in ways that ensure you will need the job again next week. Now here is where it becomes personal. Most people spend the majority of their weekend income, and often some money they do not have yet, on things that lose value immediately. A dinner out is gone before midnight. A night out is gone before sunrise. Clothes bought on Saturday are worth less on Sunday. Entertainment consumed on Friday is forgotten by Monday. None of these things are bad in themselves. Enjoyment is not a waste. Rest is not a failure. But when the weekend becomes the primary mechanism by which your hard-earned money is transferred to corporations and experiences that leave no lasting value behind, you are not living your life. You are being processed by a system designed to extract the value of your labor and return you to Monday empty enough to need the cycle again. And the thing nobody says out loud is this: the people who designed this system do not participate in it. The business owner is not spending the weekend consuming. The business owner is spending the weekend building. The investor is not burning money at the bar. The investor is watching money compound. The people at the top of the financial system spend their time differently, not because they are more virtuous, but because they understand that time and money work together and that the weekend is not a reward. It is an opportunity. 48 hours every week that most people hand back to the economy. Let's do the math. If you work from 22 to 65, that is 43 working years. 2 days off every week for 43 years is roughly 4,472 days. That is more than 12 years of weekend time across a working life. 12 years. And most people spend all of it recovering and consuming instead of building. This is not a call to work every weekend. Rest is not the enemy. Enjoyment is not the enemy. The enemy is unconsciousness. Spending because the system made it easy and appealing and emotionally satisfying in the moment, without ever asking what it is costing you over a lifetime. Here is what the people who break the cycle actually do differently. They do not stop enjoying their weekends. They protect a portion of the weekend that is non-negotiable. Not for recovery, not for consumption, for building, for learning something that increases their value, for working on something that they own, for managing their money with intention instead of spending it on impulse, for thinking about the week ahead and the life ahead, not just the hours immediately in front of them. They also change their relationship to spending on the weekend. Instead of asking, "What do I want?" they ask, "What does this purchase do for my future?" Something still passed that test. Most impulse purchases do not. They understand that rest and consumption are not the same thing. You can rest without spending. You can enjoy without depleting. The weekend can be genuinely restorative without being financially destructive. And they understand something about the economy that most people never learn. The economy needs consumers. It was built on consumers. It is sustained by consumers. But it rewards owners. The weekend is where most people are consumers. Building wealth requires becoming an owner. And becoming an owner requires using at least some of the time the system gives you for something other than handing money back to it. There is a version of the weekend that the system wants you to have, full of spending and entertainment and consumption, and just enough rest to make you functional on Monday. And there is a version of the weekend that builds a different life. They look almost identical from the outside. Both involve rest. Both involve enjoyment. Both involve time with people you love. But one of them includes something invisible that the other does not. An hour on Saturday where you learn something that could change your financial trajectory. A conversation on Sunday where you moved something forward. A decision made during the weekend that redirected money from consumption to ownership. Small, quiet, unglamorous, and compounded over 12 years of weekend time. Absolutely transformative. You were handed this week. 5 days of it went to someone else. 2 days are yours. The question is who those 2 days are really working for.